My first video that went kind of viral on the platform was one where I was talking about my sexuality, being a gay man, and how I show up is that, well, my school found that video. Parents complained and I was fired.
I was getting DMs from people being like, I don't want to do a 4-week program. I don't want to sign up for this thing or that thing. Would you be willing to come to my home and spend 5 days with me and work through the process? And I was like, yes. And will you pay me this? And they were like, absolutely. And I was just like, well, holy fucking shit. You know?
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow. Yo.
Well, Mason, welcome to the Road to Self-Love. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So my belief is that self-love is the devotion to your individuality. And instead of me introducing you, I'd love to introduce yourself as you want to be known and strive to show up in this world.
Oh, gosh, no pressure. I actually kind of balk at that just because I've never been able to put myself in neat words. Does that make sense? I feel like I am so expansive and that I'm always learning and I'm always changing. So I'll just hit you with the basics, but this is not an exhaustive list. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I guess I'm a TikToker primarily. Self-love survivor, someone who is really dedicated to being of service by enjoying myself. If I had one goal in life, it would be that my presence liberates others to shine as bright as I do.
I love that so much. Yeah. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So give me like the origin story, because you have been on a massive journey of becoming who you are right here now. You can give us like the pieces that feel most right and true for you right now, but I'd love to know a little bit deeper about where you were and where you are now.
Okay. Well, I'm from Oklahoma. So, kind of born in the middle of Midwest America into a time when people were not super accepting of people who were a little different. So I think that has really shaped kind of my whole perspective of, I hate to call myself like an outsider because I don't like the terminology of some people are on the out and some people are on the in. But I have had a lot of experience in life feeling as if I was on the outside looking in at people, which I think gave me a lot of compassion for those who are, maybe the underdog, people who are marginalized, because I can relate to a certain extent. And I think that kind of my upbringing in this place where I didn't feel safe to shine as myself is one of the things that shaped me into this person who I am today, who is unapologetic about who I am and how I show up. But yeah, so I would say that's kind of the beginnings, and Oklahoma runs deep in my story, just because I went to college in Arkansas, had a tough time, and then, kind of pulled myself out of that dark pit, started teaching as a high school English teacher. And that's what I did actually until this last year when I started doing TikTok. And the school that I worked at found my TikTok account. And my first video that went kind of viral on the platform was one where I was talking about my sexuality, being a gay man, and how I show up is that, well, my school found that video. Parents complained and I was fired. Right? Which was shocking and upsetting. But in that moment when I was fired and let go from that position, I didn't feel dismay. I just felt relief. And it's not because I didn't love my job. I didn't love my kids. That wasn't it at all. But I could only show up as a certain part of myself every day. And that takes a mental toll. Big time. So in that moment when they were said, we're going to have to let you go because of community complaints about, what you do outside of school, I wasn't upset. I just said, okay, and walked away. And since then, my TikTok has blown up and I've started doing sort of the online content creator thing full time. And my joy knows no bounds.
Tell me about like this whole, you're on this mission to just live your best life. And where, I see you from as I watch your videos and just the joy, and like, I love watching you have conversations with yourself, just unpacking really deep concepts in 60 seconds and just making it fun and easy. Like, what kind of work did you have to do on yourself to be comfortable being that vulnerable?
What work didn't I have to do? Gosh, I think most of the work would probably come from unlearning. It's not necessarily like I have to learn how to fix myself. I have to learn all these different healing techniques, XYZ. I think most of the work in this journey has been unlearning all of the myth of who I thought I was and who I was told that I was, and what was acceptable for a young boy growing up in the Midwest South to be. Unlearning the story of who I thought my parents wanted me to be, or what would make my parents happy. Unlearning that there was a certain path in life that everyone had to tread. Because when you're from a small town, and my hometown has less than 4,000 people, very small. I've lived in mostly small towns all my life, but you're not exposed to a lot of the world. You're not exposed to all the infinite possibilities of how to live, how to, get by, how to thrive. And I stayed in that pipeline of this is how you do things. You go to school, then you get a degree, then you graduate, you get a job, XYZ. And the thing that really helped me the most, unlearn that path was not the only path, was coming to terms with my own queerness. Because queer is inherently other. Queer is imagining a different future for yourself. And when I accepted that I was indeed queer and started to learn what that meant, I started to see that all of this other path that I thought that I had to follow might not be the only path. And so most of the work in becoming, who I am today is this kind of this happy, shiny person who helps unpack these silly little things that torture us, these silly little thought processes, comes from a celebration of my own queerness and a celebration of my own other, because that is not a curse like I grew up believing. It is indeed kind of a superpower.
Yeah, it is. It is the superpower. Just being okay, being yourself. I feel like we need to talk about comparison.
Oh, absolutely. Comparison is the thief. Go ahead. Of joy.
Yeah, we know. I like to say that when, because I feel everything we struggle with can be rooted in that comparing ourselves to other people. And I like to say when I'm in comparison, witness people in comparison, that they're being a Kardashian.
Well, and it's interesting that you point out the Kardashians, because they're kind of like the paragon of look at me, look at what I have, I'm winning. Right. Mm-hmm. That's how their whole business empire works, is building that mystique around I am a winner. Look at these things that I do that make me a winner. You should try to be like me. Mm-hmm. And no hate to Mama Chris. Please don't come for me if you ever hear this. Respect for that empire that you've grown. But that's the crux of it, is just this illusion that they've built of glamour, right? Mm-hmm. This thin veil of look at how happy and successful I am. Don't you wish that you could be like me? Buy my flat tummy tea. Mm-hmm. Or whatever product that they're promoting. Mm-hmm. And I hate to tell you this, but there's nothing you can buy that will fix it, baby.
Oh, baby, it's like that you are speaking my language. I'm drinking your Kool-Aid. I am here for it, because it's like it's so important, if you're listening to this, to witness and understand that there is nothing you can buy. Period. Right? A lot of my clients fall into what I call self-caring themselves into like a dismal experience, because there's a massive difference between self-love and self-care, but we've been conditioned to believe that self-care is self-love. And no. Self-care is a physical thing that you can do for yourself. Self-love is a mental and emotional treat. So self-love without self-care is self-destructive. We have so many people who are self-destructing themselves to getting their nails done, their hair did, buying the new fragrance, the this and that to look a certain way, get the likes on Instagram, but they're very sad inside. Okay. What did I learn about myself this week?
Okay, we're really going to go there, aren't we?
We're going there.
Okay. Would you like me to go first?
Please. You sound ready.
Okay. What did I learn about myself this week? I have learned, perhaps it's a continuation of a lesson that I've been learning for a few months, that it is okay to slow down, that you're a person and not a cog in a machine, and people need rest. People cannot constantly produce more and more, whatever it is, work, value, content, whatever it is that you make with your time and energy. You're not an inexhaustible resource. What about you, Paul? What about you? I want to know.
I mean, we've had some breakthroughs recently. This past week has been very interesting. You know, everything that you've said has been like, oh yeah, I just learned that. I just learned that. Just learned that. Like the whole thing this summer, my idea of my parents kind of crumbled, and we're 36 over here. It took a lot longer than I would have liked. So that happened. But recently, the thing that I've learned about myself and this past week is that there's this cycle that I've been in of trying to prove to myself that I'm worthy of being friends with people who are already my friends. In the sense of like, so in the online coaching space, I have a lot of friends who are like, who can drop a program and make 7 figures in 4 days. And with like not doing sales calls, not doing any of the things that my business is built on. And for what feels like the past entirety of my business, I've been chasing doing it the way that they've been doing it. And so that I can prove that I'm worthy of being their friends when they're already like, hey, Paul, come hang out with me at my mansion in Los Angeles. Hey, Paul, let's do this. Oh, do you want me to fly? And I'm just like, I don't feel enough. I'm not worthy. I don't have anything to contribute. I can barely pay my rent this month. You know, so it's just like, but they want to spend time with me. So I learned that is not serving me in my business, in my life, in any of the things. And since I've released that, my message on Instagram, which is my primary like client driver, is like, I want you to love yourself. I have the tools to support you doing this. I've worked with enough people. I understand there is a little bit of a kind of, what is the word that I'm looking for?
System?
Yes. That's it. Thank you. A system of how to make this happen. And because of that, I just want to help you do the work. That's it. How you want to do it, it's up to you. I'm not going to decide, because self-love, in my belief, self is the individual, love is devotion. So we are devoted to our individuality. You, Mason, are the only Mason who has your gifts, who is you on this planet. So how on earth am I allowed to tell you that I know how you should be able to love yourself? And when I unlocked that, I was getting DMs from people being like, I don't want to do a 4-week program. I don't want to sign up for this thing or that thing. Would you be willing to come to my home and spend 5 days with me and work through the process? And I was like, yes. And will you pay me this? And they were like, absolutely. And I was just like, well, holy fucking shit. You know, Jason, is there one final thing, one tidbit that you'd love to share with everyone who's listening?
Oh gosh. Be happy. You don't owe anyone your suffering. Your suffering is not beautiful. Your joy is beautiful. So give yourself permission to be happy.
Thank you. You have our permission. If you need to borrow some permission before you can fully give it to yourself, borrow ours to be happy.
Absolutely. We love you. So you should love you too.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the road. Remember, you are worth it. You deserve it. And you are not alone. See you next time.
I am here with you.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.